I never thought about it like that. I know people are really asking for that stuff. Now they're peeking. They found out that I'm Pop Pop. They're going on my personal page asking me,
Where's
Pop Pop? Where's he coming? Is he gone? Did he die?
Right.
I cannot believe I'm watching this on my own
Right.
page.
They're like, did Pop Pop die? Is he okay? Is
Yeah.
he okay?
July. I saw it in an article. Where? There is not a damn article.
My favorite one was some
about-
white lady goes on there and she's like, Pop Pop ain't dead. Pop Pop is a man named
Alex
Alex Peay.
Peay.
He's from Philadelphia and he does this. And I was just like, okay.
Why would I be anything else when I could be me? No, but seriously, like, I could just do me, you know? Like, I could just live my life as me. Just whole, complete, just myself. Unabridged.
All right, and welcome to this week's episode of Unabridged. I am your host, Don Miller, and this is episode 11 of Unabridged. Yay! As always, we are super excited for this week's episode. We have an awesome episode for you in store. I'm so excited for you guys to see this guest. He is super awesome and is the second series in our Black History Month episode. So I think it's going to be a really fun one for you. Before we jump into it, I know you guys are seeing, if you're watching on YouTube, my lovely branded swag. Look at, hold on, I got to show the shirt. And also little Muggiani. Yes. Shout out to my mom, the incredible Valentine's Day gift she got for me. No, we do not have any gear or anything like that available just yet. We got to get a couple more subscribers, a couple more places before we make that investment. But what you can do is support the awesome Kingston Couture line, which is the line that my awesome mom creates. If you guys watched the episode last week, I had on a really dope hoodie that said, well, you know, 1 month cannot fit our history. And then also the hoodie I'm going to be wearing in an episode, and a couple other hoodies I'm going to be wearing moving forward are all going to be Kingston Couture originals. So definitely make sure to check that out. I'm going to be linking all her information and all of the show notes and the Instagram so you guys can follow her. You guys can place your own orders and just be able to support a Black business, not just because it's Black History Month, but you know, all year round. So shout out to Kingston Couture. And now let's just get into my favorite segment of the episode. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into
Let's
it.
get into it.
Let's 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 get into
Let's
it.
get into it.
Let's get into it.
All right, yes, let's get right into it. So before I jump into the big 3 this week, I just want to talk I just want to talk with you guys for a little. Just got so tongue tied, but whatever. I feel like shows go through changes a lot of the times. You know, my favorite show to read used to have interviews. It was weird. They moved on from that, and we're happy about that, right? Balanced Black Girl is way more like clean cut. She got so many other commercials. The girls' shows change, right? So I'm gonna allow myself, with a little bit of pushing from my mom as well, to start kind of changing some of the formats to make it really what I want, right? And the Let's Get Into It segment is probably the one that I'm just gonna play around with it, because I'm never going to change the Unabridged journey. Maybe we'll do more in-person interviews. Maybe we'll probably do a couple more virtual ones, so that way I can get some more awesome guests who maybe aren't located in Philly, but like that's going to stay the same. The Unabridged journey is always going to stay the same, because that is really the heart of the show, right? But the Let's Get It Into It segment is like where we get to play and have a little fun and talk a little, you know what I mean? So we're going to play around with different topics and different ways we want to do this, and not always talk about news. We talk about things that we're watching, because those are things that I really actually like talking about. Now, granted, like, I know that I am a political girly, as some of the girls like to say, but I am so many other things, you know? And I know it sounds weird, but people think because, you know, you work for the government or you work in politics that you're just this big policy wonk and you're just, you know, oh, did you read about Act 1, Bill 7? No, right? Like, I read about those things because I like to be informed, but like my love for politics is in like really helping people. And granted, policies help people. Yes, policies help people. And I have incredible people that I get to work with that, you know, write these amazing policies, but like, I don't know, it's certain aspects of it that like aren't always that fun. So we're still going to talk about the things that matter, the things that are important to you, like what I'm going to talk about today on the state side. But you know, we're also going to have a little bit of fun, because I like to have fun. So we're just going to get right into it and talk about our big 3 for the week. So starting off the serious one, because this week we have like one serious and 2 kind of funny ones, all right? I guess that's what we're going to call it. All right. So the first one is on February 6th. This is a little while ago now, but we have to talk about this. Josh Shapiro announced his budget, which is the way he plans to spend the $48.3 billion with a B budget for Pennsylvania. Now that is really important, right? Because some people say that budgets are like the life, not just the lifeblood. What do they call it? They say that that's where you can find a true values of a society, right? Is where they spend their money. And I think that actually is very true, right? Like think about your life, where you put your money at, where you put your investments in on your regular day, whether it's your bills. Like there are certain bills you do not play with, right? Like you do not play about your rent. You got to have a place to stay, but maybe once in a while you're going to cut back to Netflix. So that is the same thing when you're dealing with budgets, right? So what happened on February 6th is that Josh Shapiro, the governor, introduced his plan for the budget. Now, this is America. All the girls have checks and balances. So over the next couple of months or so, his budget is going to be torn to shreds. And maybe not like in a sense of like, oh, we're going to say you can't do this, but it's really just going to be like picked apart by members of the legislative body. And those are our senators and our state reps. The state and the federal side go through very similar processes, right? Where the executive branch or the head of that branch will present their budget. This is how I want to spend our cash. This is how I want to spend our money. And then the legislator really picks apart and asks, well, why this? Why that? How is this going to make work? Or, which is the other big or, they introduce their own things that they feel like have not been included by the executive branch or by the governor. So we are in the midst of that process right now, and we're going to have a long way to go because most of these budgets are not done until like late June, early July. Sometimes the girls get into fights to the point where it doesn't get passed and then they stop getting paid. That is a lot. It is a lot, but budget times are very interesting, and it'll be something really, cool to pay attention to, especially with some of the things that the governor actually decided to introduce in this budget cycle. And I'm not going to go through all of it, right? Because we did talk about billion. $48 million. But what we will talk about is some of the, ones that I think were really, really interesting. So the first one is education funding, right? So this budget proposed a $1.1 billion increase in funding for K through 12 public education. That includes $872 million in the next fiscal year as a down payment to address decades of chronic underfunding and inequity. Now that is linked in an article from the Inquirer that I'm also going to share with you guys in the show notes, right? So what does that mean, right? He has proposed a over $1 billion increase in K through 12 funding across the state. Now, some people are thinking like $1 billion, that's a big old number. But when you think about the fact that a school district like Philadelphia alone needs about $8 billion just to address the infrastructure issues that we are dealing with right now, not to talk about additional programming needs, not to talk about staffing needs, but literally just the money to fix the buildings that kids go to, yeah. This is giving down payment. And a lot of what he talked about in the budget was addressing the new need for an education funding formula, which we talked about a couple episodes ago. Because as you remember, the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania deemed the way that we fund our education, or the equation that we use to fund our education, is unconstitutional, right? It is just shortchanging the girls, and we are all struggling because of the way that you all have decided, or the way that the state has decided to fund education. And as you know, education is a right. So when they are not enabling that right, again, it is unconstitutional. So that is really interesting, and I'm really excited to see, what he comes forward with this adequacy formula that they talked about. It'll actually increase the amount of money that comes to schools like Philadelphia over the next few years. But again, the school district of Philadelphia is facing a crazy budget deficit, as many municipalities are, because a lot of their ARPA funds are running out. Now, you remember ARPA funds were basically institutions or states' version of the PPP loans, or when we got those little checks during the pandemic. Yeah, that was their version of that. And now their money is starting to run out, and we are going to see a lot of changes to the institutions that we use and we know and kind of loathe. I don't know. Another one that was on here was a multi-billion-dollar investment into SEPTA funding. Shout out to that. If you guys have been riding SEPTA, which is, if you're not from Philadelphia, that is our public transportation, thinking it to MTA for my New York listeners, it's horrible. It's horrible. This is not me being like, oh my God, you gotta be cheerleading for it. No, you don't, okay? Because SEPTA is a private business. They are a private business. And yes, they do get a lot of government funding because of their necessity. And, just like a lot of institutions that we rely on that are not owned by the government, they get a lot of government money. And they are horrible. I've been taking SEPTA since I was a mere child. I used to take SEPTA every single day to get to school in the morning for a solid hour, right? And the SEPTA was not pretty back then. It wasn't no glorious ride. It was none of those things. But the state that it is in today is something I've never seen before. Some of these train carts are literally smoking cars. What are we in the 1960s, ho? When can you smoke in a train car? And then when can you just designate it and we're just like, oh yeah, don't go to the last train, girl. That's for smoking. That is where we are right now. Somebody told me a story about somebody was literally just like, they just shoot up on the L. I don't even touch the L. But SEPTA, the girls are struggling, right? And they're talking about fare increases. I'm like, fare increases? It literally smells like somebody takes a human bath, uses this as a human bathroom every single day. And you want to talk about fare increases? No, ma'am. So shout out to Josh for introducing this funding for SEPTA. I don't have the exact number here in my bed. It'll be linked in the article here, but it is several millions and millions of dollars. And I really hope that Leslie and the girls really take this money and put it to good use. Don't do just quick hiring and things like that, right? Yes, give the girls a raise because the unions need it. Shout out to TWU. But the thing about it is, we need major infrastructure changes to all of the way that these systems are taken care of. And we also need to address the safety issues, right? We're not going to talk about the fact that maybe a month ago, a 15-year-old boy was shot and killed in the 15th Street train station. And 15th Street is in Center City. We're not talking about train lines that are going through the ducky parts of North Philly, like North Philly stop and my stop. You know what I mean? No, we're not talking about those things. We're talking about heart of the city transportation, and people are getting killed. I remember when I was taking SEPTA when I was a lot younger, you would see these big old ex-white guys, state trooper bulls, just roaming the what was it, Broad and Olney, just looking for trouble. Now, granted, do I want our communities to be over policed? No. But do I currently feel safe in SEPTA? Hell no. No. So something needs to change. And I'm not saying again that officers don't always equate safety, but some kind of presence needs to be felt there to be like, we care about this, and that you guys can't come here and smoke your blunts and take your shits, because that is exactly what they're doing. So shout out to the SEPTA funding. And the last thing that I'll talk about from this budget is the potential for marijuana legalization. It's about time, Pennsylvania. And even if you smoke weed, you don't smoke weed, you use it for medicinal purposes, you use it to get freaked out on the weekends, whatever. But what you have to understand is we're leaving so much money on the table. Almost every state around us has legalized. New York, New Jersey, Maryland, all these states around us, Delaware, have gotten their act together. And then you know what else they've done? They've collected every single tax revenue because of it. You know how much money it is? Girl, what? You know how much money we're actually also be freeing up from trying people for things like small amounts of marijuana? Because people say that they don't, but the girls still do. People will still try to get you in trouble for carrying small amounts of marijuana. So at the end of the day, the tax advantages would really open up so many opportunities for us, so that maybe we can, maybe take our minimum wage from being a shit $7.25 to maybe $15 an hour, which still is not enough for anything. We're leaving a lot of money on the table, PA. Y'all legalize these slot machines and daycare centers, basically, but people can't smoke some weed? Come on. So hopefully Josh can get this through his Democratic state house and his Republican, Senate. We'll see. He's had a long fight and a long battle. It's an election year at that, so people are going to be using these budgets again because it shows the true values. They're going to be using it to potentially flex their muscles to support their party. So it'll be a very interesting ride. And just to kind of take it to the local girls really quickly, they're going to start their process through city council, where Mayor Sherelle Parker will announce her budget plans, and then city council will then take their time to kind of pick and pull and ask questions about what they want to see for their budget. That starts usually around first, second week of March. We'll talk about that one too, because again, where do we put our money? Where we put our money is where we put our values in. All right. So that was the two serious ones I had for this week. Now let's get into okay. Now I hate calling them serious, not unserious, but what this is like not political, right? So February 11th, again, not super late, but it was last Sunday, and this will happen when you have a show that comes out every other week. The girls are going to get weekly when we get some more funding, but here we are. February 11th, I was not forced to, but felt the obligation to watch the 49ers versus the Chiefs Super Bowl, right? Don't ask me the number. 52, 53, I don't know. The Roman numerals started getting freaky after a certain point, but it was a big one. And again, this is probably like another face-off. The 49ers have, it's the Chiefs. They've been all up and through this Super Bowl game. They are the Taylor Swift of Super Bowls I've been hearing. Like they're just these girls again. Okay. And it's funny that I say that because Taylor Swift's boyfriend is actually on that team, right? So I made it a point to actively root against them because I was like, listen, I don't know shit about the football, but I know that if she won that Grammy of the Year like she did, and now this boy turned around and win the Super Bowl, it's going to be nothing but them for non-stop. Just weeks upon weeks upon weeks about talking about this white boy and this white girl. And I did not want to hear that. So we were blessed though. Because, while the footballs was going on, we got so many cool things. So number one, you all know Usher performed. Let's start with that. Let's talk about Usher's performance. Now, I was really excited for this, right? And one of my girlfriends had to remind me of like how much I really was an Usher fan, right? When I was growing up, like Usher was like that boy, and he has remained to be that boy. But like back in the day when it was just like fresh coming out, when he was just, I was a young scrap, and he was coming out with new music and new videos and stuff like that. I was like, oh my God, Usher, yes. I almost forgot, right? I got older and he had a little moment where he was corny and trying to fit in with today. Like, I don't really, listen to his like new stuff, but Usher really had and has had an impact, right? So I was ready for this. And that show did not let any of the millennial girlies down. I felt like it was just like a trip through my middle school and high school time. And we had such a good time with Usher. He was all over the place. I'll give you that. I didn't really understand, the attire. I thought they was going to give me a little bit of like, if this is really Atlanta, like some cute street attire, but the girls are wearing, I don't know, 1940s flapper. I don't know, but it was cute. It was hype. They had all the dancers, all these beautiful black people. They were getting it in, and then they cut to Alicia Keys. Now, I am happy that we got one of his features. I was really hoping it was going to be Beyonce and we were going to get Love in This Club. I was really hoping it was going to be that, but, can't get too much Beyonce in one night, which we will get to. But, it was cute. We don't got to dwell too much on the note at the beginning because she got through the rest of it and they had a great time. They rubbed up on each other. Apparently, I heard Swiss Beats was okay with it. It was for the show. But that little part was so cute. Even her outfit was cute. And then she still on this no makeup kick, so she looked beautiful still. Shout out to Alicia Keys. She did her little thing after that first note. Then we go into the other part, and I'm sitting there the whole entire time. Yeah, okay, you didn't give me Beyonce, but you better give me Ludacris. You better give me Ludacris and Lil Jon because you three were a dynamic trio in the early 2000s. Okay, it was one of those ones where it was like, yes, another Usher, Jon, and Luda. Yes. So when they came out, and I saw Lil Jon first, and I was like, okay, where is Ludacris? If you bring out Lil Jon, don't bring Ludacris. It does not count. And then Luda popped out of nowhere. He came through some weird gate thing, and he was looking okay, But he came out and did his part. They had their they didn't do my verse. They didn't do what was the other one? They didn't do the original Lovers and Friends, but they did give us Yeah and all that other fun stuff. So that was super fun. So I definitely appreciated Usher's performance. Like he said, he did it for the A. Gotta love a black man who's doing it for his hometown always. I mean, even though it is Atlanta, so it's not very difficult. They got a million black people repping Atlanta. It is what it is. But Usher did a really great job. And he's going on tour. And I'm probably going to be there. Will I be paying Beyonce prices? Like, will I be in the pit? No. I'll be nice and fine to be up on the side. Give me a nice 100 level. So maybe he's not like a little dot, but, I can still see him. But I'm still watching his screen. I'm fine with that. I don't need to be up close like I was with Beyonce. It ain't that deep. But I'm definitely going to go. He has 2 shows here, I think so. So it should be super fun. All right, speaking of the Super Bowl, that night was funny because one other thing that was actually a little funny thing before I go into my ultimate discussion. T freaking Moo. Now again, a little late with the trending, but who cares? I just thought it was so weird that Temu had not one but two commercials during the Super Bowl. And it was so interesting because like I remember when Temu came out, it was like one of those things that kind of just started creeping up on my Instagram, creeping up in my TikTok, creeping up on random little like side what do you call them? Like side advertisement. And I'm like, what is Temu, right? Not gonna lie, I've ordered one or two little items from Temu. You kind of can't help yourself. They're really cheap, but again, they're really cheap, so I didn't feel the need to go back. And then I also heard at one point they were hacking into the girls' information. So I was like, Temu was not it for me. But to think that Temu had an ad on a Super Bowl before Shein? What? Now somebody said that Temu was actually maybe owned by Shein or like a subsidiary of Shein or somehow, but that's crazy to me. Shein has been slaying the girls from when everything on that site was $2, when now you can get things for over $100 on that website. Yeah, okay, I think they're like, probably like one of the number one retailers in the world right now. So how, and I mean, I only put them together because you know why we put them together, but I was just surprised. I was like, I'm surprised I didn't get a Shein ad. Shein has influencers. Does Temu have influencers? No. It was kind of weird. So I was not expecting that people Temu'd so much that they could afford not one, but two Super Bowl ads. Now, lastly, speaking of Super Bowl ads, so I'm sitting there and out of nowhere, I hear this voice and this red background pops up. And it's her. It's Beyonce. And actually one of my favorite characters who used to be on Veep. And they have this amazing Verizon ad. And guess what, y'all? I'm a Verizon girly too. So I really felt the love. Ooh, look at that. I got so hyped and lost my earpiece. So anyway, yes, I was so excited. I saw her and it was so much happening so quick, right? She did parts of Renaissance and she's in space and then she's actually a Twitch streamer and then she's trying to break the internet because she's, Beyonce of the United States. Shout out to Beyonce of the United States. Changing her name to Beyonce of the United States is like my favorite thing in the whole world. But it was just one thing after another. It was just so much going on and I'm just sitting there with my mouth open like, oh my God, look at all this Beyonce. And then she says, drop the music. Girl, I had a heart attack. I grabbed my phone and I'm just like looking all over it. And the people who are around me are making fun of me. They're like, oh, Dom, is she really performing in space? Like, oh, let me know if you find out she's performing in space. And I'm like, shut up, because something is happening. Beyonce would not just say, drop the music and not really mean it. So freaking out, rushing around. Shout out to my group chat because, of course, the internet broke, so like I was not able to get it on my iTunes, even though I pay an exorbitant amount of money to Apple monthly, but that's besides the point. But I got to listen to it on YouTube, and Beyonce blessed us with not one, but two singles from Act 2. Can we just have a moment for that? Two singles, and they were country hits. Now, I'm not going to lie. Will I be as excited for a country album as I was for a full-blown dance album for the girls? Maybe not. But will I listen and know every song? Yes, I still will. Because at the end of the day, I love Daddy Lessons. If you guys remember, that was like her first like real country one that she kind of teased us on Lemonade. People had so many reactions to that. I remember I watched this interview recently where they talked about when she performed that with the Dixie Chicks and got all that hate and they got all that hate. Yeah, people hate when Beyonce dibbles in and out of country. Even this time around, like most of the reception afterwards was like, it fit into two categories. It was like, oh my gosh, look at all these black people in country music. My algorithm now has shown me all these dope black country music artists. I'm about to go and get myself into a country bag, right? That has been the other stream. And I'm on one of them sides, right? Because my TikTok is showing me all these girlies and they are a boot scooting and talk about drinking and forget that man. And I'm here for it, right? But then on the other side, the other bubble of reactions have been, Beyonce isn't country. Beyonce isn't country. We're not going to play her stuff on our country. We're not going to because it's Beyonce. That reminds me when they did that to Lil Nas X. And he had to go ahead and get Billy Ray Cyrus on the track to show that he truly was country. And was it a gimmick? Yes, but it was still country music. So all that to say, I'm excited for Beyonce to get into her country bag, into her full roots, to give us some good, like, guttural Beyonce, like, ballads. I'm really excited for this Act 2. And people are talking about her going on a tour again. I just don't believe it. I think I think they should probably like just give us a cute little snippet for this, some visuals, and then maybe Act 3, which I'm hearing maybe hip hop and R&B. Maybe we'll get a tour for that one. I don't know. I'm just a poor old bee stan speculating and wanting things that I don't know if I'll ever get. So yeah. So the last thing we're going to talk about is a fun thing that I, kind of do on a regular basis that like it's kind of one of those things where people are just like, why run away from things that you already do, or like, why force it? Why force something that's not really you? And one thing that I always kind of already do on my own social media is that I review and talk about a lot of the shows that I watch on streaming channels, and people love it. Like I'm not gonna like toot my own horn, but people have come up to me and been like, Dom, like either like, oh my god, like I watched that show you told me about and it was hilarious, or like you a fool for talking about blah 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 blah, right? And I'm like, I actually like doing that. So let's review things too. So let's try this out. So I'm going to review something this week that was actually recommended to me by somebody that I was like very surprised would even recommend something like this, because it was giving very sappy. And that is the Netflix limited series One Day. Now, One Day, I'll link a little thingy, whatever, so you can see what I'm talking about in here. One Day is a adaptation of a book that I don't know the author's name. I'll get better at this and I'll prepare more. But it's an adaptation of a book that talks about a couple who literally met one night when they were in university, and then they meet every day for like the next 20 years on that same day. They meet every year on that same day for the next 20 years, right? And they build this weird friendship because she's like a nerd and he's like a cool guy, and like they kind of have their ins and outs, and they end up falling in love, of course. And like when we put it on, originally I think it's giving like a cute little love story. Like, yes, let me just buckle up for a cute little love story ride. But when I tell you, this freaking movie, this movie took me on such an emotional roller coaster, because not just the love story aspect, but everything that was going on in this man's life, okay? And I'm only saying this man because old girl was just, she worked at a Mexican restaurant, and then she wrote a book from her old stories, and that was pretty much it. But this boy, okay, he was a TV presenter after they graduated, and basically did like the British version of shitty TRL, and then like ended up getting all his drugs, but then his mom got cancer, and then she died, so he got deeper into drugs, and all the time he's like in love and out of love with people who like don't really love him, while this other girl who is our main character is loving on him. It's a mess, right? And then, spoiler alert, the ending is so heart-wrenching that I literally was just like, what did I just watch? What did I watch? Why did I do this to myself? And I know that when I talk about it this way, people are like, well, I ain't gonna watch that now. I ain't watching that. That's too much. But I promise you, it's worth the watch. And the thing about it is that I also learned that they have a movie version of it that features Anne Hathaway, and I love me some Anne Hathaway. Shout out to Princess Diaries. So I went back and watched that version, and some of the things that were like good about the series were actually bad in the movie, and then vice versa. So for example, the series is 14 episodes. 14. We got to episode 11 and was like, dang, what else more do you have to tell us? Like, what else do you have to kill somebody else? Like, what do you need to do from me? 14. So it was a little elongated, but some of that length really got me to buy into their love story. It got me to buy into the actual characters. So when the part happened, I was in tears. And I mean, I was ugly crying. Like, I was like, oh my God, why would they do this? But in the movie, it's way quicker, right? Because clearly it's a 2-hour movie. But it didn't feel as drawn out, which was amazing, right? Because the show was just like, oh my God, just keep twisting the knife of like emotional pain. But the movie was like, nope, boop, here we are. This is happening. Here we are. And I really like that. But I did like the characters that they picked for the Netflix series better. Like the young man and young woman that they picked, like them way more. Even though I love Anne Hathaway, I just didn't care for her in this. And they gave her a British accent, girl. I'm here for, taking back our parts, because, at the end of the day, like a lot of British actors come on over here and do the same thing, but that I did not need. I would have been fine if some British girly would have came in there and would have played that role and it was not Anne Hathaway. Because also talking about the movie, Miss Hathaway's accent kept going in and out. It was going in and out. It was not giving any consistency. So yeah, I really liked the series. It was really cute. They made it like, spicy because they made an Indian girl and a white boy. So I love when they do that. They try to mix it up and put brown girl representation out there, and everything isn't always just white love stories. So that was, even though it was a white boy, but it was still cute. I really loved it. The scenes were really cute. The love story was beautiful, but girl, that ending. And it's funny because everybody was like, "Oh, if you watched the book, if you read the book, you knew it was going to be difficult." And when I was like doing some more research about it, because again, I when I get attached to something, I start digging and Googling. So I started Googling like why about the ending, right? I was like, I just need to know about this ending because that was ridiculous. And the director talks about, people like asking her to change the ending or to revamp it, but she was like, no, that ending is such a pivotal part of the literature that you have to keep it in. And I'm like, you know what, girl? I respect you for that, because any old romantic like myself would have took that shit right out because it was not necessary. I'm not going to say what it is. I've already spoiled enough. So please, go check out One Day. Let me know what you think about it. And also let me know what you think about some of these reviews, because I want to do more of them, because I've been watching a lot of new stuff. And yeah, I got a lot of thoughts. All right. So we're going to take a quick commercial break and get into our amazing journey for this week.
Are you looking for cool, unique pieces to add to your wardrobe? Are you looking to support Black businesses? Or are you just looking for cool ways to represent your culture and your history? Then visit Kingston Couture for all your custom apparel and accessory needs. You can visit Kingston Couture on Instagram at KINGSTONKOUTOURE. Now let's get back to Unabridged. All right. Now I'm so excited for this episode. I said I wasn't going to be cheesy this whole entire time, but welcome to the next leg of the Unabridged journey. We have an amazing, amazing guest today. Outside of him being an unabridged individual, he is somebody from my network that I've known, and we've grown together, watched each other over the years, and I'm so excited to get into his story for you guys to learn from his story, because Alex is, I already messed up your name already, you said it. I was trying to do a big intro. But Alex has had an amazing journey, so I'm super excited to get into it. Welcome to the show, Alex Peay.
Thank you for having me.
Not your own sound
I
effects.
know, right? Sound effects.
There's going to be voices and characters, everybody, who just be prepared dealing with Alex. So, no, thank you so much for coming on the show, Alex.
Thanks for having me. And I'm really excited about this.
So, fun fact, Alex is one of the people who I actually told about Unabridged before it was even an idea, before it was just like, I kind of want to have my own podcast. So, it's so awesome to have you on and be one of the guests, 11 episodes in at this point.
Yeah, it's really good. But also to see this studio set up, the vision. He took a vision and put it into reality. So it's beautiful just to be here, and honor to be in your presence.
Be a part of the journey. Well,
yes.
No. So for those people who don't know you, tell the people who you are.
That is a loaded question. I'm Alex Peay, of course, but that's my name. But I'm a father, social entrepreneur, visionary, clearly a Black man. But I'm just I'm an individual, I'm a human who really just want to see change. Like, I know it's so broad, but I'm going to be talking about a whole lot more as we get into more questions. But if I had to say all that in one nutshell.
Oh my goodness, I hate when my guests come on here and just sell themselves short. Alex has been leading an organization in the city of Philadelphia for almost 11 years now. How long has it been? Over 11 years at this point?
2000. We came here in 2010. 2011.
Jeez Louise.
Gosh.
So it was formerly One's Up.
Oh, Rising Suns.
Oh, excuse me, Rising Suns, and now
Yes.
One's Up. So please tell us about the organization.
Yeah. So One's Up is an organization that helps young people, 16 to 24, turn their passion into a profession. Because I always believe you do what you love, you never work your day of your life. And our young people, they don't have access to those opportunities. So One's Up has these 3 pillars we do. Is level up, shape up, build up. So it's helping young people level up to the careers that they're passionate about, shape up their mind, bodies, and spirits, and then help build up the community. So we say level up, shape up, build up. That's One's Up. So that's all in a nutshell. But, I have a dope team. They keep me grounded. And, it's in a shared leadership. So I can't have done any of this work unless I had a dope team behind me. Even my past always had some great people to help me, as you know, to help grow the mission. You know, so I just been blessed to be where I am and looking forward to see where the future takes us.
I think that which makes your organization so inspiring and is like unique is that you started this when you were 19 years old. Or you started the mission when you were 19 years old. Most 19-year-olds are not thinking about, let me go inspire the youth. They're trying to party, they're trying to drink, they're trying to figure out maybe their next job in college.
Right.
If they're so, what really inspired you to even start Rising Suns, which then becomes One's Up?
Yeah, so I was going to become a corporate attorney. That was my thing when I was in high school. Become a corporate attorney, make some good money, give to the communities, and call it a day. But then in my sophomore year, there was a racial incident happened on my college campus. And as a response, I decided to create a space for the black guys on my campus. And so we used to talk about issues with ourselves and our communities. And then I got an internship working on Capitol Hill with Senator Casey. And that was like the summer of my junior year, going into my senior year. So I'm like on Capitol Hill with like around the time Obama is running for office presidency. So it was just crazy on Capitol Hill. And I was like, well, if this organization can help me get into Capitol Hill, I can only imagine what else it can do. So I decided not to apply for law school, graduated, and moved to Philly to turn into a nonprofit. So been doing that for a number of years. Worked with a number of dynamic black men who helped me build the mission. You know, that we had women who helped us out with our work and started a sister organization called Rising Queens, and he's just been so dynamic to do the same kind of work with, black girls and women, you know, throughout the city. So yeah, then I was like, well, we need to find a way to work together. And so we decided to evolve into One's Up. So some members from the Rising Queens and Rising Sons joined forces to launch One's Up. So, you know, we built it during the pandemic. So now it's like 3 years in. Growth, a whole lot of growth, you know. So I'm like I said before, I'm just happy to see where this goes from here. I'm really excited to see where the future takes us.
So how do you even sustain through all of those drastic changes? Because, you know, sustaining a nonprofit that is nothing more than pouring resources into communities that are resource deficient. How do you sustain within yourself through that journey? Because I you know, for those who you don't know, you know, a lot of the young people that Alex touches, you know, are in neighborhoods where gun violence is heavy, where poverty is heavy. So so you're not just, you know, how am I sustaining in my nonprofit, but how am I sustaining within myself to support these communities?
Ooh, that is a.
I told you we we're going to get into it today.
No, we are. Yeah, I'm like, wow. Ooh, you want me to get in there? We going to the bridge.
Right. We going in the bridge.
Yes, we are. So it's not easy. Fundraising, managing things, leadership, learning a lot about yourself. You're dealing with your own traumas. You know, I think I felt my passion for one. I found something I love doing. Like I can get up every day and know that I'm doing something that I enjoy doing. Nothing beats, like you can make the most money in the world. You can have all this stuff. You can start these masterminds and all this stuff, but nothing beats the transformation we can see young people. Like I've got young people I've been working since they were in middle school, and now they're 22, 23 years old, taking me out to lunch. We're hanging out, just like, wow, you don't even realize the sacrifices that you've made for them until they get older. And they tell you, like, I was young, didn't get it, but I'm like old enough and see the sacrifice you made. And you don't even think about it like that because I just want to see you win. That was the whole point. So it's that, and also like you just mentioned about, you know, the gun violence. You know, I lost about 4 young people plus, you know, Khalil, one of my best friends. And when on the first one, Azim was killed, I feel like, you know, I'm gonna go this whole spiritual journey, but I still feel Azim. And times when I wanted to give up, I can feel Azim just telling you cannot give up, you know. So I never wanted to fail him, but also I was afraid to fail. Like I knew that if I stopped this, I was gonna be pissed off one day, knowing that I didn't complete what I started. So you know, those are the 3 long-winded answers to that question.
I think that was very succinct. I think that was very succinct. I think and to be able to put it in that, like, I guess, like in a nutshell, is difficult because, you know, this is over, you know, a decade worth of an organization at a time for most people in their 20s where they're still, like you said, figuring out who they are while also pouring into other communities that are, you know, not the easiest spaces to work in, right? We're not talking about, you know, running sports programs, and you're just like, oh, I'm a coach and I'm gonna try, and but no, like
Yeah.
you're really like diving into young people's passions, and I think that that's an aspect that a lot of organizations kind of leave out to the wayside. They're just like, we need to give young people something to do. And actually,
Right.
me and Dre was talking about this in the last like 2 episodes ago, where was that when he goes to visit the prisons, a lot of the time, the young people in those jails talk about how no one really tapped into what they cared about, and no one really
Yeah.
talked to them about what they what they wanted to do.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what everyone deserves to do things that they love to do. I feel like we just live in a society where it's like you got to go to work and people do not like their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Like we spend most of our time at work. As humans, the least thing we should do is try to find things that we're going to enjoy doing. So it's like, and knowing that there's these barriers, like you just mentioned, our young people don't have access to those things. So if we can make access to those things, but also deal with the trauma so they can heal. And I've been healing myself. So it's tough when you're trying to build an organization out, or you're still trying to figure yourself out and deal with your own traumas when you don't even know that you're dealing with traumas.
So are you open with the people around you about this change? I feel like we have a lot of dialogue about this, but like, are you open with the young people you work with the team around you about the work that you do on yourself, and how how that journey has been for you?
Yeah. Jeez, you're good. These are questions. Yes. Yeah. Honestly, my young people, yes. I mean, especially being a leader, you got to be vulnerable. And that's not a practice a lot of leaders are willing to take, because you have to be strong enough at times. Which, when you want to break down, you got to be the one to stay strong at times. But we created a culture in my staff. I got to shout out my staff. We are really big on this. Like, we will take time to really address how we feel about things. Like, we cry together, we pray together, we laugh together, we share things that can't leave the room, and also like the young people, I'm letting them know that I'm human. I'm going to make mistakes. There's times where I didn't know what I was doing. And I had to tell them, my bad, I'm learning. And they get it. I
I
tell
love
them, like,
adults who
through there.
apologize to young people.
I have to, because I ain't grow up being apologized to. And when I found that out, I decided to make a change for myself to, like, now I feel like I can probably overdo it sometimes with some people, but yeah, I realized the importance of being able to apologize, whether you feel like you did anything or not, or wrong or not. I feel like a lot of people like to justify what they do when someone says, well, you did X, Y, Z to me. It's like, it's not about what you did or what they did. It's just take a moment to realize that they're hurt. And in spite of everything, just apologize. So, that was a muscle I had to learn myself, realizing that I wasn't around stuff like that.
No, that's deep. I think hearing this actually takes me to my next question. What actually inspires you right now, or what is inspiring you right now?
To do what? Because that's, I got a lot of inspirations
Listen,
right now.
it's inspiring you to keep going,
keep
inspiring
going.
you to wake up, inspiring you to keep doing the work that you're doing right now.
Because the work's not done. Like, I feel like I'm doing things that I really enjoy. Like, I love it. I think that's what it is. I really just found something that I can get up and just be happy doing. And I think, yeah, like, with everything, like, I'm really, it took a long time to get here, but I honestly can say, like, yeah, I'm doing it. It's crazy just talking to you about this. Like, it's one of those, wow, I can really say that, like, in spite of all the stuff that happened to help me that I had to go through to get here, like, sometimes you don't think that you arrived. And when I think about arriving, is that I don't have to, like, think about too much as I used to, So, yeah, it's time to just enjoy the journey. But I'm still hungry. We got this big building now, so I'm, like, thinking about all these new things we can do.
So tell the people about the building and the transition.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, so we had, I was just thinking about this the other day. Like, when we first started off, it was I told him, shout out to Moo. He's even my roommate, but, we used to have our laptops in our house. He was, and our roommate, he was also working with me. So there's like my partner in crime. So we were writing up everything, the vision, like our proposal and stuff like that, to keep the laptop from overheating. We used to put it on our ACs. That's all we had. So,
Right.
So to see that we went from there, then, we were blessed from a foundation to get grant money to get our first space. So we took an old barbershop and repurposed it into our youth center, and that was an 800 square feet of space, And then, now we're at a 2,000 square feet of space. And, my team, I had a shout out to, Brittany Tannehill and Mariska Marsh. They've came in and really helped design what a lot of the things are, what we're taking this model to. So it's like being a leader, you want to like, oh, we should do this. But we're like a collective now. So like I be saying things like, we should put this here, this there. Like, no, the young people got to be there. I'm like, you know what, you right. I'm gonna wait until y'all just talk about it. So it's like and it's overwhelming when you go from 800 square feet of space to a 2,000. Like it's like, oh my gosh, just a hallway and rooms and more rooms. And so just trying to reimagine how we can take this space and make it our own. And it's a bigger space, that I hope that we could make our own one day, equity wise. That's the vision. I'm like, I'm done. Oh my gosh, I got more work.
What is that? The old people say the reward for winning is more work or something like that. The reward of leadership is more work.
Yeah,
you're just gonna keep building. But I love how you keep talking about your team, and I know that your team has transitioned over time, and I think that probably. And I was going to ask you like, what was one of the most difficult things? But I think watching you over these years, that team transition was a lot from you, right? Because it started out, with you and like you said with Moo as your roommate, and a lot of like your close friends to now being with Brittany and being with Brittany and being with Marsh.
Yeah.
That is a way different team.
Oh yeah.
And when people kind of fall out of your life like that, or are in and out, that could be a really difficult transition.
Yeah,
Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, we were doing this when we were in our 20s. So, people dealing with their own traumas. We're all young, trying to figure out life. And, and honestly, we were trying to find money to make things go. And it's tough when you're young and vibrant and trying to get the work done, but there's all these other, requirements that the nonprofit space requires of you, so there's a lot of that stuff. And honestly, we're still close friends, which is really good, but people just had to discover themselves, and and I had to be okay with that, so it's tough because like you have this vision of just like, yo, I just want to make sure everyone who helped me to get here is good, but
right.
Like you're still trying to figure out life, and you don't realize how much it also is affecting what's going on too, So there's been a lot of growth for me as a leader, as a person, and also like I'm like, geez, I was 19 years old trying to do this. So I'm thinking about like Huey Newton and all of them who started like the Black Panther. I'm like, yo, they were so young doing this stuff, and it's like, I think the best thing for me is even though I had the transition has happened, they still we're all still close friends, we was together for New Year's and stuff like that, So we always are our family, and I think that's the most important thing. They also support us with the ones at whatever time we need it. But having Marsha and Brittany's totally different transition. Honestly,
that's the Black lady right there. That's a Black lady effect.
Oh, no, it is. It was like, and honestly, and I went from like I didn't. I mean, this is being transparent. I didn't have to really think about menstrual cycles as much. I'm like, oh wow, like, yo, we got to be careful. Like, yo, there's got to be. If you are feeling this, you can't come to work.
Oh my God! See, I need you as a boss.
We're talking about like, yo, we're trying to revamp policy, and then like even like maternity leave. Like I'm here watching, Brittany, like she's in the middle of going through pregnancy, like, and you're watching this live, like, and granted, she has two beautiful boys, but you're just like, oh my gosh, she's going through, her morning sicknesses. She can't be here right now. You're just like, only thing you can do is just be supportive. It was like a totally different change of things. And, it helped me be more mindful of just humans, in general. So I'm just like, okay, I became more mindful as hell. Right. But I enjoy it though, and also because, and it's a shame because we live in a society where Black men are not able to be very expressive of themselves. And even though me and the guys always found a space for us to share things, it's kind of a different feeling with how you can address that with women, because now we're just like really talking about like, no, we're gonna take this time and talk, and we're gonna cry and share these things out, and like, how do we create this in our whole culture? So it was a definitely a different experience for me, and also like leadership changes. Like for me, I have a co now, so it's me and Marsh working together. In this sense, it's like well, I don't have to think about what's next. What's the next move? Like, where are we headed? It's more like, okay, let's talk about this as a team and figure this thing out. So it's been a transition, but I just been blessed to have been on both roads, and just seeing where this goes.
I love that the skills that you talk about are skills that make you such a great leader, are skills that people don't really associate with leadership, which is sharing the load and sharing the power as well as vulnerability, right? And this is something I talk about with Zeke a lot of times. One of his greatest strengths as a leader is listening. That was actually episode 3, so shout out to that episode. Go listen
Shout
if you
out the
haven't.
boys, Zeke, big bro.
Again, go listen if you haven't. That was a good episode too. But I think that that's what I realized, and I think the audience will realize too, listening to your story, that it was tapping into vulnerability and also tapping into the fact that this is my idea. Like, I need to be able to share this with the people around me in order for it to grow to the height that it can grow.
Absolutely. And also, one thing Lou always said, you gotta let go of things. And I couldn't listen to what he was saying at the time. I just couldn't. He was like, you're too accessible or something. I'm like, what? You have to be accessible because you don't want to be that person that seems they're too good to be around people. But then you realize, yo, you got too much accessibility to me, but you don't realize it until you get on. I'm like, yo, he was right about these things, So there's a lot of things when people see the outside looking in that you don't see. And so hopefully as you get older, you realize those things that they were sharing with you, So I'm at a point right now where it's like, how can I take the things I'm learning and think about what could be next? What could be the next moves, for me? So we'll see.
Right.
It's like this whole stay tuned thing.
Well, stay tuned, follow along the journey. I also think this is a thing that comes with age, because I feel like as soon as in my 20s, I was very much like, I have to be in everything. I need to see this. I need to. But now in my 30s, I'm like, girl, if you want to get out of here with that, you do that.
Right. And honestly, because exactly what it is, because even with me and Marsh, I'm a visionary. I'm really good at talking with people. I can build connections. I can foster those relationships. Marsh is really good at strategizing and executing things. We literally have the perfect roles. She don't want to do what I want to do, and I don't want to do what she wants to do.
Right. So
great, but we also can work together. So it's like, I don't have to feel like I have to do this. Let her do what she does. So we're like, no, let's do our thing, but we're always on the same page. I think that's the beautiful thing. And that also comes from having tough conversations. And being with them, I had to learn that I couldn't do that when I was younger. I was being defensive because this is my baby. You take pride. How dare you criticize me?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Or what are these ideas? I'm the idea person.
Right, exactly. So now I'm like, okay, I'm getting it now. I need to. It's a we thing. I don't have to have the whole thing. I can come up with the idea, but bring it to the team. Let's see what everyone else says about it. Because, I want to always believe in a long time. My philosophy was ask for permission. No, apologize rather than ask for permission. But you can't do that when you're working with a team. You have to ask for permission rather than apologize, because you're going to be screwing up a lot of things. So I had to change a lot of my philosophies around for this.
No, I think I love that you just said that, you and Marsh don't want to do each other's things. That idea of just everybody staying in their lane and being their true selves is one of the subcategories of Unabridged, right? One of the reasons why is we can't move forward if we're not doing ourselves, we're not worrying about ourselves, we're not playing our roles, right?
Yeah.
And that's what it sounds like. What's happening with you is that you found somebody who complements you in that side, and because you guys are doing your thing, you guys are able to grow and progress. Because I feel like the change that has happened maybe in the last 5 years has been expedited in comparison to the change that might have happened in the last 10 years that you've been working in an organization.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, even responsibilities, we had a couple hours, 10 years ago, but now you're thinking about full-time staff.
Right.
It's I like to use the word leader because first of all, I don't like the word boss. I like the word leader, but still, it's people like to glorify that. Yeah, I'm paying people salaries, benefits. Yeah, I got to maintain that.
Right.
And it's I'm proud of that we're able to provide this stuff, but you got to maintain it. Yeah, we got a bigger building. Yeah, but that's an extra $3,000 a month.
Right.
You know what I mean? Let alone everyone's salary, let alone the programming. And then you want to grow, and then you want to grow, and then you got to maintain that, So I love that we're able to do this, but it's still okay, we got to make sure we got the raising the money the right way, So, and me and Marsha are always on the same page. And I never had so much confidence to raise money now. Her and I took this big training in Colorado, and it just like changed the game and how we just approaching fundraising together. So, it's just like, yeah, it's like at some point you get worried about how it's going to go. But then when you believe and have faith in the mission and your team, there's nothing that can stop us. So, we just know that this is just, everything is really divine for us right now. So, we be in there. Like I said, we never just be praying. We've been fasting. Like, it's a totally different thing. You know what I mean? How we approach it. So, yeah. So, we just know we got our ancestors and the Most High on our side. So we can't fail.
I love how this is not just, organizational journey, but a spiritual journey for everybody involved. It makes it seem like that at the end work it's going to be like, not only do we have this amazing organization, but we are our true selves. Like, we have fought for this and like discovered things about ourselves through this time.
And that's what it's all been about, Dom. Is like, we've made it a point where, yes, it's all about the young people, the communities, but it's also about us. Because we can't, if we're not becoming our fullest selves, how can we provide for others and help them become full?
Can't pour from an empty cup.
I was just about to say.
That's what the old folks say. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Baby, you can't. So, so that's like a very important thing. So we make sure that we're there pouring in each other's cups. So we're always filled. Sometimes, I can go the hard time. I'm waiting to come to work because I'm going to tell them what happened.
Right.
And we can just be there. We can laugh. We can cry. Like, we can just share so much stuff with one another. So, and that's important with work, and we don't have a space for that. So it's like, how do we disrupt the workplace? Like, especially Black people, we deserve this. There's so much that's going on, and our workspace should at least be one of the spaces we can always feel like we can be ourselves. And if we can also just learn to grow simultaneously, So I'm at a space right now where I'm still growing. I'm still learning as I go things, So I got Pop doing all this healing stuff now, but it's really about, for me, is how do I take what I'm learning and, be patient with myself, because this is a journey of relearning and reprogramming everything that I've always known.
Oh, my goodness. Well, thank you for making that lovely notation to my next, because I now have to make a hard pivot.
I know where this is going.
I have to make a hard pivot now.
I know this is going.
So, being unabridged, we talk about, being our full selves. And, one thing that has been a theme, or something that I wanted to make a theme with this, was that, there are people who are living all aspects of their lives, whether they want to serve communities and be an influencer, they want to, be a rapper and, also be a cook, like whatever that is, like you can live that full self, you can have that full journey. And I think, with Alex and this amazing character, this amazing character that has grown into something that even you didn't even think was going to grow into, is really that unabridged self. So we're talking about Pop, aka Pop Johnson.
Yes.
So for those of you who don't know, and I feel like this is an unabridged exclusive,
This
right?
is.
This is like an unabridged exclusive.
Oh my gosh. Yes,
Pop,
it is.
so Pop is a character that Alex has created, has been playing for years at this point now, and has actually just taken off to a whole nother level. So please tell people about Pop, Alex, for people who don't know who he is.
Well, I guess it's like my coming out party,
Right.
kind of in a sense. Thank you.
Well, no, the internet already aired out who you were.
I know, you
so.
right? Gosh. So Pop is a character I created. It was a response to me grieving over my grandmother after she passed away. We was really close. I used to live with her, and so when she passed away, my friends used to tell me all the time that I love old school music. I love me some Motown. So, so they always call me Pop because I used to do that. And also, I used to just fall asleep no matter where the hell we were. That's just my problem. So I didn't care. So I started like doing these little old man impersonations and stuff like that. And then when I was doing City Year, I had to host a talent show for the kids. And I was like, I'm going to do Pop. I'm going to bring him out. So I like put on these suspenders and his glasses. And I grabbed a cane. And I started doing impersonations, and somebody in the audience was like, yo, you got to get him on TV. And I'm like playing around. I'm like, for real? So I started like really developing the character, started putting in paint and stuff like that, and started putting him in community events. Anton Moore, actually, shout out to Anton. He got me to do my first appearance to the public at one of his, nonviolent weeks programming. So from there, I was like, started doing some more content and posting and have him going to different places. And then I had to I was really being committed to it. And this was all the time before the whole content creator, influencer thing was a thing. And so all that creation stuff wasn't even on the gram yet. So I'm like posting, having out in the community, stuff like that. But I had to take a break. Because at first, I had my daughter, and so I had to try to be more committed to being a dad. But also it was I had to either choose between doing this or really building out the organization. And so I had to make a sacrifice. So I had to put, Pop to, on a shelf for a little bit to really focus on organization. The organization grows up, it builds up, and then one of our, we were launching our One's Up program. And so one of our students, at this time, TikTok is hot now. So everybody you gotta get Pop back out there. You gotta put on TikTok. All right, one day. And so during one of our programs, we had our young people all spend one day doing a workshop teaching everybody something. So Makai, shout out to Makai. He's actually one of my boys, right? I'm so proud of him. He's 21 now. I've known since he was middle school. But so he was in our program, and so he's teaching everyone how to do TikTok. So I'm the only, I'm old. I'm the only one with a notepad taking down notes on how to use TikTok, right? So then I get him on TikTok, and then after a year, he blows up. I was projecting him at least get at 10K in 3-4 years. But then one day I'm coming back from the Roots picnic, and I just looked, and he just blew up. I'm and it's kept going. And I'm I don't even know what to do with this. And then it just hit 600,000. So I'm okay, now let me get him back on the gram. And so I got him back on the gram. And by that December at Christmas, and I forget, I was with my daughter. We was going Christmas shopping. I'm look, man. Pop blew up. Fuck you on the gram. So she don't know what I'm talking about, but she gets an idea, but I'm oh my gosh, this is happening right now. So I love it, but it's oh crap, people think I'm a real old man.
Right.
And that's when it hit me. It's I don't know what I want to do with this. And so this is an interview.
Right.
Talking about this because, I don't want to disappoint Pop's followers. This I did not expect this to happen.
Right.
I was in a place where I knew that I was going through a lot of hurt and pain, and started reading books, and those books were helping me out. And I was well, I want to find a way to tell people what I'm learning and sharing it out. I was going to wait about another 10, 15 years and talk on panels and keynote speaks and shit like that one day. But then I was nah, I need to do this now. And it's Pop.
Right.
And so then I started taking a lot of things that I know that I was feeling and things I was learning. I'm okay, let me just start talking about it as I'm your grandfather, and let's do it over tea. Because my grandma used to make tea for me growing up. So I'm tea can always calm the soul. So let's have some tea with Pop. And I know that social media is a place where even though a lot of thriving prosperity happens, but a lot of people are going through a lot of insecurities, depression, anxiety. So it's well, let me talk to those people. So Pop just was addressing a lot of things that I was going through. Because I'm dealing with anxiety. I'm dealing with depression. I've been diagnosed with this stuff and PTSD. So it's well, how can I help those going through those same things in this grandfather figure? So I was playing around with it. I didn't think it was going to go like this, but it's here. Now I'm okay, I need to officially tell people. I don't know how that is, but I just love that he touches lives. And you see, I'm talking to me as a third person because I want to be Pop one day.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
Hopefully one day, but I don't want to make this this false sense that what you see is Pop, that's me. No. That is a character that I strive every day to become. But I know that don't look at me thinking that I'm the holy roller and I'm not, and I'm perfect and I don't do anything wrong. I'm still on my journey learning like anybody else. I'm not better than anyone else. So it's just a whole experience of me just to share to the world the things that I'm learning. Hope I can just touch a soul, through that.
I mean, I think you've touched a lot of souls through that. I think you have, and I think that while I was preparing for the show, I started looking through more of your content, and most importantly, some of your comments, right? And the way people really just open up and share about how your word has really tapped into them, and similar to you, you're providing this connection to an elder that a lot of them either lost or did not have already, right? And I love that we're reiterating the importance of elders in our lives, and I think that's what Pop does.
Yeah, he does. Oh my gosh, you got me feeling very emotional right now because I'm thinking about my grandma. Gosh, you get on my nerves.
I told you we was going to do this.
Oh my gosh, yeah, my grandmother. When I was going through some hard times, my grandma was there for me. She's always telling me to keep on holding on. I think that was one of the most important messages that I live with to this day. No matter what, just keep holding on. And I know that, our elders, we need them. We need to support them. We got to show them love because we're all going to be one day. And we need to realize that if we need to treat them the way that we know that we would want to at least be prepared for, So, yeah, I appreciate elders. I can be with them all day. Like if I could do anything for a job, I would just play cards with them at this local. I'll be trying to find one to volunteer over
player
there.
for the elderly.
No, seriously, right? Because I had to go do an event at a senior center spot, and after I got done, I'm like, yo, I want to play cards with them. So I'm like there for another 2 hours playing pity pat, like getting my behind whipped over.
Of course,
you know what I mean. But I loved it, So yeah, you're right though. We definitely got to show love and more appreciation for our elders.
So how do you prepare for your skits? Because I know you talk about like reading a little bit, like and, you're reading a book and you share that message. But how do you really prepare for let's get us into the mind. We got the paint on. Pop is ready. What happens next?
It's honestly that's my grandmother, and I don't know how people feel about this spiritual sense, but I talk to my grandmother a lot, and when I hate to use the word, but channeling my grandmother. But it's like because I'm passionate about what I'm talking about and I believe what I'm saying, it's like I can take a lot of the same type of energy that my grandmother used to give me about her wisdom and stuff and pour it in as Pop. So I'll take the quote or whatever is something that stood out to me. I'll take it and I'll say it, but then everything else is freestyle. Excuse me. Yeah, I'll just say what's on my heart. I feel like that's the most genuine thing you can do. So like there's no script or anything like that. It's whatever quote that's hitting me, and then I just explain what it is for you, grandbaby, and let you know that I love you for your day.
See, but did you just said that you are not Pop?
I know.
You is Pop. Pop is you.
I get all the time people like, you're Pop, right?
Right.
I know.
Like you're not like, oh, I'm gonna script this out. The fact that you're not doing this is off the top. Eric called me one take home, so I'm calling you one take home. The fact that you're just coming on there and just this is your feelings from what you're reading. That's part of who you are.
That's deep. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a part of who you are.
Yeah. That's real. I always think about if I'm just channeling this through, my grandmother. But I never thought about it like that. Actually, who am I? Well, there you go. Right. That's another part of who I am, right?
This is another part two, the introduction.
Two, right?
Exactly. A little later in the interview. So I know that you haven't been posting for a little while.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes. So,
and I think before you get into that, I'll let you think about that for a second. I think when you really create that audience for people, they do start to become dependent on that voice. I hope one day people become dependent on Unabridged like that.
Oh, it's going to happen.
I hope so.
It's going to happen.
So can you talk about like that expectation and also kind of like where you are right now in the pop journey?
Yeah, like first of all, there's times I just have to take a break from social media. Like even my personal page, like I'll be popping up sometimes and I leave. Like it can be too much, you know. So there are times I do take a break, but this is the longest break because it's for number one. Oh my gosh, I try to do merch, pop merch, and you know it was cool, but like I know nothing. I run youth programming and I do content creation.
Right.
Merch is a totally different thing. So people can be like, "Oh, you could have done this, you could have done that, blah blah blah." But I'm an entrepreneur. I do, and I figure it out. Like I've learned. That's how I learn. You know what I mean? I do it, and I can tell you someone else don't do that. You know what I mean? So, like, oh my gosh, I'm not good at measurements, so I got the wrong sizes, and like I'm really want to make sure that all the customers who bought something can feel an experience. So I made like these customized pop boxes, and I got my daughter to I got her to use her handwriting, and I digitized it myself, and so that's like Pop's typo. You know, I don't even know the word for it, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, right.
So
His font.
His font.
Yeah,
Yes, I call it the Booga font because my daughter's name is Booga. So it's like I use that on there in the boxes and stuff like that. So it was like, let me just say this too. She also gets paid for it too.
Generational wealth. Everybody gets the cut.
Yes, I showed her how to do it and how this is working. You know, but it just like, but the boxes came out small. Oh my gosh, the boxes came out small. Some things got stolen when I was waiting on them. So now like everyone's like, where are the packages? I'm supposed to be waiting for this thing. So now I'm getting anxiety. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's coming too much. And I'm like, I didn't want to post until I knew that I could at least get these orders out. And it took a whole lot longer than I thought. And then also I was charging $5 for shipping for people who's trying to start any type of business around merch. Don't do $5 shipping. Don't do it. Especially if they're not in your area. Don't do it.
Right.
Oh my gosh. I'm like the average was like $10, $15. And I got people in Canada and Bangladesh. Not really Bangladesh, you know what I'm saying. But they're like from all over. So I'm like, $35. I got a lot of money. So I had to learn a lot of that stuff. So now I can learn to do this thing, but I'm like, it was a lot at the time, but I also realized it was good for me because I had to take some time out to think about what I want to do next. I got to get Pop out the kitchen and out in the community, out into different environments. So that's like what I'm gonna start doing next. So I bought a new mic so I can be out in the cold or whatever I'm outside. But that's honestly the next couple of weeks I got to start getting back in there again because all my shipping is out. It's been gone now. So it's like, okay, what do I do? But, then I get caught up because I got so busy with One's Up and we're raising money right now. And the program's about to start. We're doing so much. So it's like trying to balance so much. So now I got to get back into squeezing Pop back into my routine again. But I'm bringing it back. Sooner than later.
No, well, I mean, listen, take your time because I think that's why people love the character so much is because you are so thoughtful about the content that you're doing. Like Pop isn't just going around and being like, well, of course I'm a Pop. I drink tea. You're not just following trends, right? You are actually trying to create thoughtful content that people can attach themselves to. And I think I think that your audience would appreciate that because they have gotten so much from it and they do rely on that message. So it just shouldn't be anything. It should be when you're in a space to deliver that.
Absolutely. And I appreciate the followers, like every single one of them. The community, like when I just see that people are pouring out and some people are like giving out advice too, it's like you can't make it up. So I just enjoy them. Like, so shout out to Pop House followers, his grandbaby. Shout out
shout out
to
to the
them.
grandbabies.
Holding them down and stuff like that. So, but like you said, like that was why I was like, oh my gosh. Because I feel like you told me this before. You were like, you don't realize that people are waiting on that. I'm like, whoa, I never thought about it like that. I know people are really asking for that stuff. Now they're peeking. They found out that I'm Pop. They're going on my personal page asking me, where's Pop? Where's he coming?
Right.
Is he gone? He died.
I know I'm about to say that. Like, that's the funniest thing I saw.
Like, no, he died in July. How you know she was so confident? How you know? Like, people be so, like, I cannot believe I'm watching this on my own
Right?
page.
They're like, did Pop Pop die? Is he okay? Is
Yeah.
he okay?
July. I saw it in an article. Where? There is not a damn article.
My favorite one was some
Oh,
white lady goes on there and she's like, Pop Pop ain't dead. Pop Pop is a man named
Alex
Alex Peay.
Peay.
He's from Philadelphia and he does this. And I was just like, okay.
Y'all be doing your research, but someone reached out to my personal page and like, yo, are you Pop Pop? And if not, like, when is he coming back? And, like, someone posted on my comments. That's when I'm like, okay. Wow. People are doing their research trying to find this. This is okay, people. Okay. All right.
So what, if you have a message for your grandbabies right now, what do you have to? What do you want to say?
If I was Pop Pop right now,
Mm-hmm.
Papa would say he is terribly sorry for whatever he made you feel during his absence. And he's going to come back soon enough for you and give you tea and all the loves and support. And we're going to do some new content too. And just thank you all so much for just being a support, because Pop couldn't be where he is if it wasn't for you all. So I had to give out to the files for y'all. So thank you very much. So sorry, but we will be back soon. Honestly, we'll probably be back before this thing comes up.
Right,
so we'll
probably.
see.
So this is, I have to ask my last question, and again,
Okay.
these interviews go by so quickly,
Yeah, I
and
know,
I
like, wow,
hate
this is really
it.
good. Yeah.
But what does it mean? The show is called Unabridged, which means to be your full unedited self. What does that mean for you to be fully unedited, to be unabridged?
Is to be daring enough to go against the odds. It means being okay with being uncomfortable with yourself, to be your full self. And that's a very big challenge. People can flex all they want with their muscles, blah, 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 but you don't have the same strength with your heart and your mind. You're still weak.
Mm.
You're weak-minded.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, forget leg day. You ain't do mind day. You ain't do heart day.
Hmm.
You know? So I think that's what that means. Like, being able to have the courage to take those leaps when no one else wants to. You know, to be daring when people doubt you. To be able to look back, and I hope you do this too. That you even take. You know, you're not where you want to be, but you've moved the needle a lot, Dom.
Mhm.
So take the time out to just to reflect and see where you are and where you're headed, but also just to treat yourself with the greatest love that you can, because you can't continue on doing that makes you who you are unless you do the work for yourself too. You know?
You just gotta slip it and pop, don't you? I asked you about you, and then
I gotta take this clip out. Pop do it. Over the clip.
no, then you go sit there and take it. I'm asking about you. But no, I do appreciate that, and I love the way you put that, Alex. So thank you so much for being on the show today.
I appreciate this. I'm excited for
hope
this.
hopefully your followers are listening and they'll be able to hear your message. But again, I think all the work you do, from your nonprofit organization as Alex to your online character as Pop has been inspiring to watch, and I really hope that the people listening really got something from your journey and really understood your story.
Yeah.
Tell us how we can follow along with you before we close out.
Yeah, you can follow me at Rising of a Sun, SON, and Pop Bruce Johnson. We're also looking for people who want to support us. What I mentioned for our young people. We're always taking donations, but also just support. Like, you can be there. And yeah, also looking for to collaborate with Pop. So if you're really serious about stuff, like, let's collaborate. But amazing work, Don. Keep up the amazing work. You have a dope team, amazing production, and I'm looking forward to see where this goes to.
All right. Thank you so much. That has been the Unabridged journey for this week. Thank you all. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe wherever you listen or watch the show. Also, check out our website. That's UNABRDGpodcast.com. We'll see you in 2 weeks.